All right, let's work on this backside. Brock goes to the store and buys 4 shirts and 3 hats for $85. That looks like math, that looks like math, that looks like math, and you know what? 85 looks like a total also. So Taylor buys 6 shirts and 1 hat for $75. We're talking about shirts and hats, so I'm going to just use S and H. All right, let's put the totals after an equal sign. So equals 85 and equals 75. Okay, so how did we get the $85? Well, that was Brock, who bought 4 shirts and 3 hats. So 4 shirts plus 3 hats was 85, and Taylor bought 6 shirts and 1 hat for 75. Okay, so let's go ahead and solve this. We're going to need to multiply the top by the bottom and the bottom by the top. So multiply the top by 6, the bottom by 4. And after we distribute that top one, that's going to be 24s plus 18h equals 85 times 6 is going to be 510. Okay, on the bottom, times 4. That's going to be 24s plus 4h equals 300. Now, the good news is the s's are the same number, so that's awesome. Bad news is they're also the same sign, so we need a negative somewhere so that they cancel. I'm going to change them on the bottom. So make this a negative 24s, a negative 4h, and a negative 300. Okay, so now the 24s minus 24s is 0. 18h minus 4h is going to be 14h. And 510 minus 300 is going to be 210. Divide this by 14, and h is going to be 15. So it's $15 per hat. Okay, now I'm going to go back and choose, I think I like this equation right there. Maybe you saw it. Let me outline it in blue, that one. 6s plus 1h equals 75. And I know that 1 times h, 1 times 15 is just 15. Remember, I got that 15 over there with my h. Subtract the 15 over, and we're going to get 6s equals 60. Divide by 6, and s is going to be equal to 10. So $10 per shirt and $15 per hat. At the concession stand at a basketball game, Tyler bought 2 popcorns and 3 drinks. Ooh, very good. I found our math. I also am finding our variables right there, popcorn and drinks, for $10. I'm just going to go write that right now. This looks so straightforward. 2 popcorns plus 3 drinks equals $10. Okay, what about Kyle? Kyle bought 5 popcorns plus 7 drinks for $24. Okay, well, looks good. We've got our equations written. That wasn't bad. Multiply the top by the bottom and the bottom by the top so that we can get our p's to have the same number. So when I multiply by 5 on the top, that's going to be 10p plus 15d equals 50. And on the bottom, when I multiply by 2, that's going to be 10p plus 14d equals 48. Now the beautiful thing is our p's are both 10s now. That's awesome. The bad thing is they're both positive, so that's not going to give us a 0. So let's just change these. I'm going to change them on the bottom, change all of those signs on the bottom, and now let's add it straight down. 10p minus 10p is 0. 15 minus 14d. 15d minus 14d is going to be 1d. And 50 minus 48 is just 2. So we've just got d equals 2. Okay, let's sub that back in. I think I'm going to use, that top equation looks pretty easy to use. 2p plus 3d equals 10. And we know that d is equal to 2, so I'll just sub 2 in there for d. 3 times 2 is going to be 6. So let's just subtract the 6 over 2p equals 4 and divide that by 2, and we're going to get p equals 2. So popcorn is $2 and a drink is also $2. Number 8. Wilt Chamberlain scored 100 points in a game in 1962. 100 points, I bet that's going to be important. 1962, just information, not important. In the game, he made 64 shots, 2-pointers, and free throws. This was before there were 3-pointers, okay? So no 3-pointers, we can just kind of ignore that. How many 2-point shots and free throws did he make in the game? So let's do this. I'm going to call the 2-pointers X and the free throws Y, just because there's not a clear letter for me to use there. Okay, let's talk about the totals that I see up here. 100 is a total, and also 64 shots is a total. So 100 points and 64 shots are both our totals. Well, how are we going to get this? We're going to need to use an X and a Y in both these equations. And let's see, it says he made, oh, this is a little bit tricky. It really helps if you know basketball here, but X is our 2-pointers. So each X is going to be worth 2 points. Free throws are worth 1 point each. So maybe I'll put the 1 in there in front of the Y just so that we can see. But we've got to put those points in there because that top one is talking about 100 points. So these are our equations, and the shots are that we get on the bottom, 64 shots. That's just from adding X plus Y, our 2-pointers plus our free throws. Okay, now we could multiply the top by the bottom and the bottom by the top here, but here's what I see. Even though our X's aren't the same number, our Y's actually are the same number. They're both 1s. So I'm just going to change the signs because they're both positive 1s at this point. So I'm going to change the signs on the bottom. Change each one of those. Negative X, it becomes a negative Y and a negative 64. Now let's go ahead and see what we've got. 2X minus 1X. That's just 1X. 1Y minus 1Y is 0. And 100 minus 64 is going to be 36. So we see right now that's already solved. X is 36. Okay, now I'm going to use that original equation that I had on the bottom, that one right there. Originally that was a positive X plus a positive Y equals positive 64. That's the equation I'm going to use. And I know that X is 36, so sub that in for X. 36 plus Y equals 64. Subtract 36. That's going to be Y equals 28. That is a pretty good, not 24, 28. That's a pretty good game when you have 36 2-pointers and 28 free throws in a game. That's a lot of points. Number 9. Combined, Casey and Abby have $600. If Casey has $250 less than Abby, how much money do they each have? Okay, so here we go. This one is not going to be easy. First of all, what are we talking about? Let's talk about Casey and Abby, C and A. So I know combined, that just means we're going to add them together. I'm going to scoot this over this way a little bit more. C plus A. Casey and Abby together have $600. If Casey has $250 less than Abby, how much money do they each have? Okay, so let's write this. Here's how I'm going to write this. Casey has $250 less than Abby. Okay, Casey has means equals. 250 is 250. Less than means minus, and A is Abby. And then one more thing. You remember that when we see the word than, we have to flip it around. So this is not 250 minus A. This is A minus 250. Okay, so now 2 ways that we can solve this. First way is that we can take this A minus 250. That's the same thing as C, and sub it in right there for C. And that's going to be the easiest way to do this. Another way that we could do this is we could just rewrite this equation on the bottom. If we wanted to, let me just... Okay, so all I did was space that out a little bit more so you can see what I'm going to do. If I want to eliminate these, multiplying top by bottom, bottom by top, and so forth, I can just take the a and move it to the other side. And that was a positive a, so when I bring it over here, I just have to make it a negative a. And so that equation would be then c minus a equals negative 250. And actually, you know what? Since I'm there, I might just use that. Let me show you again what I did. C equals a minus 250. Let's just subtract that a to the other side. And that's what we have. Okay? So that's where I think I'm actually going to work with this one and eliminate it, because this is going to just be super easy. Okay, so I just copied that up there. And now let's look at this. The a's are all ready to cancel because they're both ones. And one's a positive, one's a negative. So let's see, c plus c is going to be 2c. And 600 minus 250 is going to be $350. Divide this by 2, c is going to be 175. Okay, so I am going to sub this back in for c, 175 for kc, plus a equals 600. I'm using that top equation right there. All I did was sub the 175 in for c in that equation. So let's subtract this. 175, a equals $425. 425 for Abby, 175 for Casey. And together, if you add those up, we really do get 600. And it looks like Casey has $250 less than Abby. So that's good. We're looking great. All right, last problem. Mr. Ulrich has 6-volt, I bet that's going to be important, and 9-volt batteries in his room to use for physics experiments. Altogether, he has 12 batteries that have a total voltage of 96 volts. Okay, so what are we talking about? We're talking about two different kinds of batteries, 6 volts and 9 volts. So let's just call them, I'm going to call those X for the 6 volt, and Y I'm going to call for the 9 volt, okay? X and Y, let's call it like that. The totals, he has a total of 12 batteries, and they have a total of 96 volts. Okay, well, I bet you can figure this out. We're going to have to add X and Y together in both these equations. And so for the top equation, to get 12 batteries, simply all we have to do is add those together. X plus Y is going to be 12. The number of 6 volt and the number of 9 volt, when we add them together, that's 12. But in that bottom equation, it's 96 volts total. How are we going to get volts in there? Well, we have to use that information that we had up there. X was a 6-volt battery, so each battery has 6 volts. And the 9-volt battery is obviously 9 volts per battery. Okay, so those are our equations. Now let's just multiply this. Multiply the top by the bottom by 6, and the bottom by the top, which is a 1. And let's see what we have. 6 times x is going to be 6x. 6 times y is going to be 6y. And 6 times 12 is going to be 72. On the bottom, 6 times 1 is 6x. 1 times 9y is 9y. And 96 times 1 is 96. It all stays the same. Now, the good news is x's are the same numbers. That's beautiful. Bad news is they're both positive. So change the signs, either the top or the bottom. I'll change it on the top. Doesn't matter though. You can change on the bottom and we'll get to the same place in the end. So let's add these down. Negative 6x plus 6x is 0. Negative 6y plus 9y is going to be a positive 3y. And negative 72 plus 96 is going to be a positive 24. Divide that by 3, and we're going to get y equals 8. Y equals 8. Now, I think I want to use this top equation right here. X plus y equals 12. X plus y equals 12. So our y is 8. So we've got x plus 8 equals 12. Subtract the 8. We're going to get x equals 4. So Which one was 6-volt batteries? That's what it's asking for. 6-volt, that looked like it was our X. So our answer is going to be, there was 4 6-volt batteries, and then also they had 8 9-volt batteries. Okay, that's it. That's the last problem on this. Okay, so not easy, but not too bad either. I think we can do all these. All right, I know you got it. Good luck.